Welcome to another episode of The Artsy Raven, a show about writing and publishing with your host, J.F. Garrard.
Welcome to another episode of the Artsy Raven, and today our special guest is Patricia Leavy. So Patricia is an award-winning best-selling author, formerly associate professor of sociology and founding director of gender studies at Stonehill College. She has published more than 40 books and has received career awards from the National Art Education Association, the American Creativity Association, the American Educational Research Association, and more. In 2018, she was honored by the National Women's Hall of Fame and SUNY-New Pulse when they established the Patricia Leavy Award for Art and Social Justice. And in 2024, the London Arts-Based Research Centre established the Patricia Leavy Award for Arts-Based Research. Her website is patricialeavy.com, and she lives in Kennebunk, Maine. So welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, you've done many things, and you're a professor as well. So what inspired you to begin writing?
The truth is, I wanted to be a writer ever since I was very little. It was like my childhood dream. I was very, very shy, so I don't think I really expressed that to maybe anybody for many years. But I always loved writing more than anything. And even when I was too little to write, I would orally recite stories and an adult would type them for me. And then I would illustrate them and I would bind them with like old scraps of wallpaper and glue. And I actually have one that my mother saved in like a Ziploc storage bag. And I was 6 years old when I made it. So I consider that my first book, even though nobody read it but my family. So I always wanted to be a writer. It was the thing I loved. I loved getting lost in stories, whether listening to them, eventually reading them and writing them. And honestly, had I been braver when I was younger, I would have pursued it. But I was terrified of going into the arts. I could not think of anything that would open you up to more rejection and critique. And as someone who had been a very shy kid and I had been bullied a lot, I just couldn't imagine choosing a career where you know you're going to face like daily rejection and criticism. So I didn't. And I always wrote in my spare time, like I always just creative writing was always an outlet, but I went on and ended up becoming a sociology professor. And when I was a sociology professor, and actually even in graduate school, you have to publish when you're a professor. So you have to publish, academic nonfiction. And so I started writing and publishing academic nonfiction, and I sort of got my foothold into the publishing world. I learned how to deal with the rejections of the critique that does come. And I did that for a long time. And then eventually I realized, fiction is really my dream. That's what I've always wanted to do. And I did love writing nonfiction, and I still write nonfiction sometimes. But being a novelist was my lifelong dream. So at one point I had a sabbatical. I was off from teaching. And I very, very quietly wrote my debut novel. I only told my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband. And the reason he's my husband is because when he read the first 20 pages, he goes, "Oh, you should definitely write a novel." Um, and so I just never turned back after that. I just kept writing and writing. And I soon thereafter quit my job as a professor and just decided, I'm going to do it. You only live once. I'm going to be a full-time author. And I've been doing that now for almost 15 years.
Oh, wow. So what sort of fiction do you write?
So my favorite is romance. I think had I been braver when I was younger, that's what I would have done from the outset because I just love love stories. And I've always loved love stories, but I have written different things. So my debut novel was like women's fiction. I've written several novels that were women's fiction. I wrote a novel that was adventure fiction. So see, even when I became brave enough to like write fiction, I still wasn't brave enough to do the thing I most wanted to do. But then eventually I wrote my first love story. And I've been writing romance ever since, which I definitely feel like is my calling because it's the thing that like when I'm doing it, I forget to have lunch and my stomach grumbles. And I feel like that's the sign you're doing the thing you're meant to be doing.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about your latest one. So it's called Twinkle of a Doubt. Can you tell us a little bit about what it's about and what sparked the idea for this?
Yes, thank you. So Twinkle of Doubt is the second book in a romance series called The Celestial Bodies Romances. And they can definitely be read as standalone, and I'm sure that's how a lot of readers will read it. But the first book for people who are interested is called Shooting Stars Above. And we actually just put the ebook on sale for 99 cents for people who want to read it before they read Twinkle of Doubt. So it is there for 99 cents. So the series follows this inspirational novelist, Tess Lee, who's had a hugely successful career, sort of transforming darkness into light into her novels and touching people around the world. But personally, she's not been able to find any happiness in her life. She was severely abused as a child, years of sexual abuse and other violence in her home. She's totally estranged from her family of origin and had to create a chosen family of friends and loved ones. And she's not able to find happiness until she meets Jack Miller, who is a federal agent working in counterterrorism. And his life has also been marred by violence and grief, but in very different ways. And they meet on the very first page of Shooting Stars Above in a bar. And they just have an instant and deep connection. And so the first book follows the beginning of their relationship, and they do get married. And it follows their first year, but how trauma surfaces and how the past is, never fully past. So then in Twinkle of Doubt, the book begins, they're celebrating their second wedding anniversary. And they have both found happiness in their relationship and in their chosen family. But they still carry scars. They still carry invisible wounds. And there's an event that happens that calls those wounds to the surface. So really, to me, it's a book about healing and about doubt and the nature of doubt, and really not even doubting other people, but doubting ourselves, doubting that we are worthy of love, that we are enough. So the series as a whole really explores love and the sort of lifelong healing process from whatever our scars might be. And each book in the series takes this couple and looks at a different sort of facet of love. So the first book is Love and Healing, and Twinkle of Doubt is about love and doubt. And I will tell you, there are actually 6 books written so far.
Oh.
So, I mean, I just love these characters, so I kept going. So the next book is about love and intimacy, and each one takes place a year after the last.
Now, where do you find inspiration for some of the challenges that they face? I hope it's not from your real life.
Well, some of it, I mean, not some of the fantastical things that happen in the book, but the idea that we carry scars and that we have things to heal from, that very much comes from my life and from all of the people I've been close to in my life. I have yet to meet a person who does not have struggles. If there is such a person, that is wonderful, and I'm genuinely happy for them. But I haven't met them yet. Everybody I've met has had struggles and things that we have to heal from and move on from, and that can be very challenging. And I do think that a lot of people struggle from self-doubt, from feeling like they are not enough. I think whether it comes out as imposter syndrome or comes out as not believing people really want to spend time with you or be your friends, or not believing you will find somebody to love in a big romantic sense, or whatever it is, I feel like a lot of us carry doubts. And so I like to take these like very human things. I think it's because I'm a sociologist. So I like to take these very human things that I feel many of us deal with in different ways. And I like to put them in these fairy tale romance stories where we can see what a happy ending might look like, and what that might feel like.
Now, is there something about romance that draws you back to it over and over again compared to other genres? Like, have you tried
Yeah,
writing other genres or?
Yeah, I mean, I've written in a bunch of genres, and like definitely when I'm writing romance, I feel like it's what I'm supposed to be doing. I mean, first of all, look, I'm a sucker for a love story. Like I always have been my whole life. Like, I always wanted the fairy tale books read to me when I was a kid. And I, loved rom-coms from the time I was like 10 years old. I don't actually write rom-coms. Like
Mhm.
my stories are different than that. But I've just always loved I love love stories because I love in the possibility of seeing the best in somebody else and how that changes the way they see themselves. And to me, that's what partnership is really about. So, like a lot of my romance novels, the people are already married. So they kind of defy some of the genre norms where it's always people dating, meeting, people are always in their 20s or 30s. In a lot of my novels, they're in their 40s or their 50s and they're already married. And it's really about like what partnership can do for your life, like how it can change the way you see yourself and how it can help you on whatever your journey is to become the best and most healed version of yourself.
Now, you've written so many books. Do you have like a habit? Like, how do you write so many books? Like,
I do
it's
have
like
a
a
habit.
skill. Yeah.
I honestly, look, I think that writing is discipline. You know, some people are like, oh, it's talent, whatever. No, it's discipline. It's like everything
Just getting
else.
it done.
It's like it's getting it done. I mean, it's like eating healthy. Like that's like we all know what that looks like, and it's
Mhm.
either a discipline that we develop or we don't. Because you know, like last night I ate crap for dinner because I wasn't disciplined. You know, it's like everything else. So I write every day. I write 7 days a week, not all day every day, but I write every day. So like even on a weekend, like sometimes if I have plans and I'm going out, I will write in the morning for 45 minutes or an hour. It doesn't have to be all day, but I write every day. And the reason I write every day is because I believe you have to write when it's hard and when you're not inspired to buy yourself the days where it's in flow and it's magical and it's wonderful. I feel like it's all part of the process. And that in order to be a full-time author and to produce a certain amount of books, I can't only write when I'm inspired to.
Yeah.
I have to write even when it's hard. But I really do believe that the more you have a writing discipline, whatever that is for you, it's different for everyone. But if you have a writing discipline, you're never stuck. Like you can always do something. It might not be the most brilliant thing. You might have to like edit every word of it, but you can always get like some words down on the page. And the more you can do that, the more you do have these magical days where it's like the best thing in the world.
Okay. Now, do you have a routine when you wake up? You usually like writing in the morning better than the afternoon?
So when I wake up in the morning, I take a walk on my treadmill every morning, which I just do for physical reasons. I had back surgery years ago and I have to take a walk every morning. It's like my PT. So when I take my walk on the treadmill, I usually watch like a concert, like whoever, somebody I like that's like uplifting, but like I like to like watch women artists. There's something about it that it feels like it fuels my walk, but it also like fuels my creativity for the day. So I take my walk, I have my breakfast, and then I jump online. I usually check my emails first, which I wish I could say I didn't, but I do because I feel like I just have to.
Mhm.
And if there's anything urgent to respond to, I respond to it. And then I usually start writing. Now, there are days when I have other tasks I have to do because being an author is not just writing. So today I'm doing this. So I haven't written yet today. I dealt with emails and now I'm doing this interview. And so I'm hoping this afternoon that I will get my writing time. So sometimes you have to be flexible, but I try to write in the mornings if I can, for fear that the day will get away from me if I don't, and that there's just more of a chance that too many things will like pile up in my inbox that will prevent me from getting some like really good writing time.
Okay. Now, if you have you ever gotten any advice from anybody from for writing that you think still resonates with you today?
Yes, my favorite advice that I ever got is to develop your own relationship with your writing, which is not dependent on anything external. So, not praise you receive from others, not negative critique you receive. It doesn't mean you don't get feedback. Like while you're drafting, before you publish things, of course, you get lots of feedback. But at the time when you decide to make peace with it and let it go, just have your own relationship with it and allow readers, critics, anyone else to have their relationship. And that's really none of your business. And I think it's great advice to protect your mental health as a creative so that you can continue to create for the long run.
Okay. Now, you're considered a best-selling author. Have you ever heard of any misconceptions people have about this? Like when they come up to you, like, "Oh, you sold so many books, and you're New York Times or whatever, and I've won awards, etc., etc."
Yeah, people think all kinds of things. I mean, like all kinds of things that just flat out aren't true. I mean, first of all, they assume that, well, you must be rich. And it's like, well, first of all, like the publishing industry has the lowest margins of like any industry in the world. So if you look at how many books you have to sell to like earn anything.
Yeah.
You can be a best-selling author without selling enough books to earn any money back. So you can be a best-selling author like legitimately, like your book can sell 10 or 20,000 copies, and you can be in the hole for that book. So there's all kinds of false assumptions. There's also the assumption that it's easy, like you can get published wherever you want, you never get rejected. And that's completely untrue. I mean, I know it's untrue for me, but I know a lot of authors, and I don't know anyone that's not untrue for. If you are in this for the long haul, like there will be peaks and valleys. And my career has absolutely been that way where like, yes, there have been moments where like I could get the book contract I wanted with the publisher I wanted, and that was awesome. But there have been many moments where it's like, no, they don't even want to take your phone call. And that is after having success. That's not before it. Before it, it's like everybody rejects you. I used to be able to like wallpaper my apartment with a rejection letter. It's like, it was crazy. So there's just an assumption, I think, at some point that like there are no struggles anymore. And it's not true. I mean, it's really hard to be an artist. It's really hard to be an author. You have to do it because you truly love it. You have to have a long range vision. You can't pin all your hopes and dreams on like one specific book or one specific thing happening because you can't control any of that. So yeah, people have a lot of misconceptions about what it's really like.
Okay, now you could give a piece of advice to your younger writing self. What do you think you would tell yourself?
I would definitely tell myself not to read reviews. I did not know that when I was young. Like turn off notifications. Like I did not know that when I was young. And it's super unhealthy. Even when things are positive, it can be really unhealthy. You're just getting too many people's ideas in your mind. And that can become like the barometer by which you start to measure yourself. And that is very, very dangerous. So I don't read reviews now. I mean, once in a while I see things because I can't help it. Like I'm in the world and people send me things, but I don't seek them out. I don't look for them. If I can avoid them, I do. My nonfiction publisher, who I've worked with for over 20 years, they know not to send me reviews, that I don't want them. And sometimes my editor will text me. She'll be like, it's really good. You should read it. I'm like, I don't want to read it. Like, glad to hear it was good. So I would definitely have told myself, don't read reviews. And I also would have told myself, like, don't take it all so seriously. Just like do the thing you love. There will be highs, there will be lows. You just ride it out. And if you don't get too swept up in any particular moment in your career as an author, you're much better off. And I would have saved myself a lot of tears on my pillows years ago had I known that.
Okay, now you're going to do a reading for us. Could you give us a bit of context before you start?
Absolutely. So I'm reading from Twinkle of Doubt, the new Celestial Bodies romance. So Tess is a world famous author, and she and her husband Jack were invited to a big gala hosted by the president to celebrate the arts. And Tess is very uncomfortable with her fame. She's always been uncomfortable with her fame as an author. She wants a private life. And so while they're at this event, she is absolutely the center of attention and everybody wants her attention. And when she's leaving the event, she tells Jack, can we just not speak? Can we not say anything? Can we just get home and make love and be us and not talk? And he agrees to that. And this is that scene.
Okay, cool.
Hess leaned against Jack in the limo, and he absent-mindedly massaged her fingers, not a word spoken. When they got home, Jack followed Tess to the bedroom, taking off his jacket and tie on the way. She sat down at her vanity, unfastened her necklace, and slipped off her heels. Jack took off his cummerbund, unbuttoned his shirt, and kicked off his shoes. Tess stood up and turned her back to him. He unzipped her gown and helped her step out of it. She turned to face him. In a faint voice, she said, Jack, if you... He grabbed her, held the back of her head, and swept her into a frenzied kiss. She unzipped his pants and pulled them down. He picked her up and she swung her legs around his waist. He carried her over to the bed, laid her down, and they made love passionately. Afterward, they lay looking at each other, kissing, as Tess ran her fingers along the scars on his body. Tess, I love you so much. I love you too. You were spectacular tonight. I was in awe. Do you have any idea how proud I am of you? He asked. She looked down. He wrapped his arms around her. I'm afraid you think you can't be all that you are and still be with me. I can handle it. I don't want you to give up anything. I know. Or is it something else? I saw the look in your eyes when Abdul spoke. She just looked at him. He brushed his lips slightly against hers. Jack, he tipped her chin up to look in her eyes. Do you remember that day in Hawaii in the outdoor shower? Yes, it was incredible. Do you remember what I whispered? He asked. She nodded. I said, don't let me hurt you. Jack, you could never hurt me. Not on purpose, but I needed to know that you would tell me if it was too much, that you can tell me anything. Otherwise, I could never have been with you like that, so intensely. Tess, there's such deep trust between us. You can tell me anything. I want to know what's going on in your mind. I know you're not ready to talk about whatever it is that's bothering you, but I'm here when you are. Someday I hope you'll choose to tell me how you feel and what you need in the moment. I promise then that we'll be as close as two people can be. Her eyes filled with tears. I'm closer to you than I've ever been to anyone. I know, and that's how I feel about you, which is why I hope that someday you'll know in your heart that it's okay to tell me what you need. You never ask for anything for yourself, but you can and you should. He wiped away a tear, kissed the top of her head, and pressed his body into hers. Let's fall asleep just like this. The next morning, when Tess woke up, Jack's side of the bed was empty. She brushed her teeth and wandered into the kitchen. Hey, sweetheart, I was just making some coffee, he said, spooning grounds into the filter. Jack, she said softly. He turned toward her. When I was growing up, I felt like I was buried alive. I couldn't breathe. Writing allowed me to take in gasps of air. It kept me from suffocating. He put the spoon down and looked at her tenderly, giving her his full attention. I was barely 22 when I became well known. Fame threatened to turn writing into something else. I had to struggle to keep it for myself, my only means of air, just that one part of my life. Everything else I gave away willingly. I only kept that one thing for myself. When you're famous, nobody sees you for who you are. It makes it hard to breathe. When I met you, I felt like you saw me entirely and I saw you. No secrets, no masks. It was like oxygen. After surviving on gasps for so long, I was suddenly flooded with air. Jack, how we see each other, what we have, it's everything to me. It's literally the air I breathe. You, writing, and our friends are what's real to me, what keeps me above ground. Last night, the way people saw me and what they wanted from me, it's not that you can't handle it. It's that I don't want it. But more than anything, I don't want you to see me through their eyes. And I feel guilty because I know that being Tess Lee is a privilege I should use for others. But I just want something for myself. I just want to be. I just want to breathe. Without a word, he walked over, cupped her face, and kissed her. He gently placed her head on his chest, wrapped his arms around her, and held her for a long moment before whispering, "Thank you." "I love you," she said. "Tess, I love you with my whole heart forever, exactly as you are. You don't have to do anything. Just be."
Oh, thank you very much for your reading, and thank you very much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
The Artsy Raven is produced by Dark Heel Express. Introduction voiceover by Chris Gorman. Music by Tim Moore. Please access your bonus content on the Patreon website. Thank you very much for listening, and please stay safe.